Hi, coaches on Team Rockstar Fit. Rachel Doyle here. Thank you for tuning in today to this lesson that I do feel quite passionate about. Today, we're going to be talking about volume. And volume, I think, is a topic that gets kind of overlooked, misunderstood, not communicated enough, and not communicated thoroughly. I'm going to be giving you some basic 101 material today, and it's not exciting stuff, but it does lead to weekly paychecks, and that should be something that your ears perk up about. And just please know that it is a crucial element, like a crucial key factor in our businesses. And if it is not something that you know a lot about, you guys, please educate yourself on it. Please educate yourself. Take this information that I give you today, learn it, implement it however you can, and please promise me that you'll from here continue to grow and educate yourself, because it is a topic that as you grow in your business, it's important for you to utilize. It's important for you to make sense of it. It's very important for you to know, be confident about, and turn around and educate to your coaches and to your downline. And that whole duplication process is very important when it comes to this particular topic, okay? Because volume is essential to know, because it really does factor in calculating our weekly paychecks, okay? So please promise me that you will tune in, absorb as much as you can here today, and as you grow your business, please continue to educate yourself as you go along, and teach your coaches the same thing, okay? Leaders, if you've already heard this before, maybe you are tuning into this training for the second time because it's a newer training. Maybe you're a brand new coach. Maybe you are a coach a few months in, and you all may say to yourself, I've already heard this before. I already know this stuff. Well, I just encourage you to continue to listen and take some notes. And if you can pick up just one golden nugget from today to be able to go either implement into your business or educate your downline with, please stay and tune in for just a couple minutes here. So what I want to do is I want to screen share with you guys. I have some slides to help you hopefully better visualize and better just learn. So I want to go ahead and share before I kind of dive in and start talking about this topic. Okay, so there we go. I don't know. Well, that's okay. Oh, there it is. I just wanted to move this. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. Okay, so volume is a way to measure sales. Yes, it is. But, I want to look at volume, and I do look at volume as a way to measure strength in our businesses. The strongest businesses have the most volume, not necessarily the most coaches or the most people in the organization. So you can have 10 people who produce 1,000 volume points in a week, or you can have an organization of 6 people or coaches who produce 6,000 volume points a week. And I'm just throwing numbers out at you there, you guys, but you get my point. So like I mentioned a minute ago, volume is a way to measure sales, yes. But man, let's not forget, it's also a way to measure consumption by coaches. Consumption by coaches. We're not just measuring sales to customers here, right? We're also measuring how many of your coaches or your future coaches are active on personal volume or PV. So like it's sales to customers and usage by coaches. So when we're thinking about driving volume, we're not just talking about getting coaches to sell more. We're talking about getting coaches in your downline using the products themselves. So volume is created equal from coaches or customers, right? Does that make sense? So coaches, getting the 3-day refresh, coaches trying out Beachbody on demand, coaches getting on and making sure they stick with home direct Shakeology each month. So volume, like I said, is equal for coaches and customers. And I don't always think that coaches get that or understand that. So let's not overlook that getting your coaches to use products and programs is just as valuable as selling products or programs to customers. Cool? So before we move on into like the meat of volume, I want to just do a little decoding here. It can certainly be overwhelming as a new coach, learning all of the Beachbody lingo thrown at us right away as new coaches. And I think that some coaches, new coaches especially, probably feel and look like my son here in this picture. Like, look at those eyeballs. Do you ever feel that way as a new coach? Like, holy crap, all this stuff has just been thrown at me. But we're not going to focus on all of those abbreviations today. We're just going to focus on what you see on the right-hand side of the slide, particularly at the top two definitions, PV and TV. So we know, or maybe we don't know, that products and programs generate certain amounts of volume that is generally based on the retail value of the purchase. That is kind of where we start to talk about volume. And we're certainly going to get into that a little bit more. First, though, personal volume, the definition is the volume generated from personal orders and or customer orders. So anything you buy, Shakeology, programs, like I just mentioned, based on the retail value of that particular product or program, it's going to have a certain amount of volume attached to it. So Shakeology, for example, has 90 personal volume points attached to it. So you generate that volume from your own personal orders of Shakeology each month. So we automatically have 90 personal volume points attached to our name every month if you are on Home Direct. Personal volume is a factor in calculating your weekly paycheck. The more PV from customers means more pay in your pocket from direct sales commissions. And just as a side note, to not forget, to remain an active coach status or an active coach rank, we must maintain 50 PV each month as coaches, okay? As coach rank. Number one, that's easy to attain if you are on home direct orders of Shakeology, because like I just said, that has 90 personal volume points attached to that. But also remember, as you move up in rank from coach to emerald to ruby to diamond, that 50 increases, that number increases. So for an example, at a diamond level or a diamond coach, you must maintain 90 PV to remain active, okay? So just keep in mind, to remain an active coach, you need to maintain 50 volume points, but as you grow in rank, that number does increase. Okay, so team volume, real quick. Team volume, the definition is the volume generated from coaches in your downline. But the thing is here, you guys, it's generated from the coaches in your downline, but not just your own PS coaches. It is anyone in your downline that contributes to your team volume. So your PS coaches and their coaches and their coaches and their coaches and all their customers. So sit on that for a moment, you guys. Like, what the heck? It's not just who we bring on as personally sponsored coaches. And that is why volume can be so game changing. That is exciting, exciting stuff. All right, I want to go on to the next slide here. So where does volume come from? I want to break down kind of the anatomy of volume here. Okay, let me see here. Do you love my little emoji? She's like, where does volume come from? I don't know. Okay, so if you're looking to drive volume, you guys, in your downline, here are 3 places that you're going to want to look outside of selling to customers. We know, like, selling to customers, that's the easy part to understand about this. We sell a product or program, it's got volume attached to it, boom. But do you realize like how much we would have to sell to customers in a week or in a month to hit some of the goals that some of us coaches have? Like, if you want to make $500 a month, that is pretty doable by selling to customers and selling products and programs to customers. But when your goals get bigger and you want to replace incomes or bring your husband home from work, and those goals get really big, and you start to build a team and know, like, man, I can do some pretty amazing things here with my organization and my team of coaches that are growing and thriving. That is really where you're going to want to look at these 3 points when you're looking to drive volume within your team. So number 1, your coach's consumption. Your coaches using products, like I mentioned, drinking Shakeology, using Beachbody on demand, using the 3-day refresh, doing the ultimate reset. That is going to drive volume alone within your downline. But also any ongoing orders. So if your your customers are on Home Direct Shakeology, awesome. Well, just remember, when you're talking about team volume, your coaches' customers also contribute to that. So making sure that you work with your coaches, making sure that their coaches, whether they're active, like business builders, or if they're discount coaches, making sure that those coaches are at active status, because all those 90 PV attached to all those people every month is going to drive that volume in your team volume. And thirdly, new sales from challenge groups, making sure your coaches, your team are running challenge groups each month, and they're actually, driving sales. What does that mean? They're helping people. That's what it means. It means that they're hitting Success Club and helping at least 3 people a month, right? So it's getting new customers in those challenge groups, not just rollovers or not just freebie customers, like actual sales to jump into a future group. So that's why it's important to always have a plan, what your next group is going to be, map it out, like know what's going on in the upcoming months, August, September, October, November, December, and so on and so on and so on. Know what's going on so you always are having conversations all month long. You might just be starting those conversations. We're planting seeds. It might take you a couple weeks to have a conversation, right? Don't wait to the last minute at the end of the month to try to hit Success Club. And I know that's not what I'm here to talk about, but the point is to always be having something to invite to and getting those people into an upcoming challenge group. New people, right? New people. So this is a prime example right here. This is one of my downline coaches, one of my diamond leaders, Kelly Ryan. She is a busy mom of 2. She is a pediatric nurse, and she is a rock star on my team. Why does someone like Kelly consistently have an average of 2,000 volume points consistently, always? Well, she's hitting these 3 points. She's a great example of someone who is rocking these bullet points. She's rocking her own personal order. She uses Energize. She uses Shakeology. She uses the 3-day refresh. She, has, I think, done the ultimate reset. Like, she's trying new programs all the time, right? She's always using coach products and programs. Number 2, ongoing orders. She's a nurse. She loves to educate her social media audience on the ingredients of Shakeology, why she loves it so much, how it's changed her life. It's something she's consistently talking about in her challenge groups, in her newsfeed, and she's getting people using this product. And not only is she getting them to use it, but she's getting them to consistently use it and staying on home direct every month. So she's driving volume to our team volume just doing that. Number 3, she is a prime example of someone who's always consistently running groups. She knows when her next group is going to be, what date, what month, what is it going to be called. She loves to be organized because she's always having conversations. She always has something to invite to. And that is just another prime reason why this girl is always at least Success Club 10 every month, because she is consistently planting seeds through social media and then behind the scenes, of course, too, in her private messages, reaching out to people, starting new conversations always. So just someone, as an example, who isn't just sitting there with 90 personal volume points attached to her name. She is doing something good for herself, using the products and programs, but she's also helping out our team and our team volume by contributing elsewhere to really working her business. So like I said at the beginning, you can have a team or organization of 10 or 15 people, but are those 10 or 15 people actually doing something? Or are they just a discount coach? Or are they just kind of sitting there doing nothing, right? You got to ask yourself this. Or do you have a solid organization of 6 to 8 coaches who are doing what Kelly's doing? Because if you have 6 or 8 coaches doing what Kelly's doing, I can probably bet you your team cycle bonus within your paycheck is looking pretty good. Okay? So I wanted to give you an example beyond just selling products to customers and coaches of how we can drive volume within our teams here, okay? The last thing I want to touch on, there's 2 more slides. The only thing I want to say about this slide is that not to forget that the Coach Online Office is really the one-stop shop for tracking your numbers, right? The default screen here, when you open your Coach Online Office, is where you're going to find, the numbers that you're going to want to keep track of. Right to the left of where you see your Success Club numbers or your Success Club status when you open your Coach Online Office. Go over to the left, scroll down just a little bit where this arrow is under My Volume, and you can kind of keep track of your own volume this way, your own personal PV, your team volume, and then looking at your left and your right leg volume. I'm not going to get into team cycle bonus today, but just know that, looking at these numbers and then taking that and doing the calculations, you can, once you get into the routine of and educated on volume, you can look at this and really kind of know ahead of time what your paycheck is going to be, not based on commissions, but based on your team cycle bonus. So that is something that you can talk about with your upline. I can't remember if there's going to be training on team cycle bonus. I think that there is. So that would be one to follow up with for sure. So you can utilize this information right in front of you here when you do open your Coach Online Office. Lastly, I just want to touch on carryover volume. I just want to touch on it because this is kind of a beast, and when you're a new coach, this is where things can get really pretty overwhelming. But I just want you guys to be aware that it exists. I'm not going to throw a bunch of information at you for you to go learn about it or think that you need to apply that to your business right now, because that's really not the case. But just know that if you stick with this, which I hope you sure do, and your business grows and your team grows, eventually there could be a pot of money that you just are sitting on, otherwise known as carryover volume, otherwise known as your savings account or your Beachbody piggy bank. This does not apply to everyone, especially if your legs are even, but it's all good information to know and pass along to your coaches. All businesses are built differently, so don't freak out if you don't have carryover volume now, which you probably don't because you're a newer coach, but even down the road, if your legs are balanced legs, there's a likely chance you're not going to have it. Don't freak out. It's just something that you're going to want to take a look at. So where can you find, beyond finding your volume, where can you find carryover volume? Well, you're going to want to go to your coach online office, to my volume, and then drop down to my carryover volume, and then you'll see whether or not you do have it. It's kind of one of those things where like you work now and you get paid later. So you're building up this piggy bank, and the more that you keep working on it, sometimes the payout comes later in carryover. So just as an example, 2 of my top leaders on my team, I showed them, they didn't really know too much about, I'm gonna stop my screen share here. They didn't know too much about carryover volume until I brought it to their attention once I learned a little bit more about it. And this was like over 2 years into my business that I really started to be like, okay, this is a thing and this is what this means, and took the information to them and was like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, look at all this money that we are just kind of sitting on, right? So how I kind of learned of it is looking at their volume and realizing, and mind you, we're all on a leg that is not balanced, the 3 of us, including myself. And we did some math, and I saw the carryover volume on their one leg and compared to their other leg. And before I go on, I just want to stop and say, like, I should explain this first before I tell you the story. So every month, and again, you're going to learn about Team Cycle Bonus, but you'll learn the ratio that, in our left and right leg, the 200 to 100 it equals a cycle, and depending on what rank you are is dependent on what amount of money you're getting paid for that cycle. So as like a diamond coach plus 3-star diamond, but as a diamond rank, you get paid $18 per cycle bonus. Or as a new coach, or as an emerald coach, you get paid $14 a team cycle bonus. So we're in the situation where you got all this volume on your strong side, and then you got your volume on your weak side, and it's 200 to 100, and it just kind of like until it cycles out, till it can't cycle anymore. Well, the likeliness of still having some volume on your strong leg and nothing over on your weak leg is likely when you don't have equal legs. So where does all that extra volume go? It doesn't just disappear. All that extra volume that wasn't tapped into, that goes into this carryover volume, this Beachbody piggy bank, right? And so that's where it goes. And so, we got all this nothing going on the weak side because it was all just tapped into. But over time, guys, as you build your business and you have leaders producing leaders and team volume, and it really starts to grow over here on the weak side, that's when it starts to get tapped into over here in your savings account. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, that it's kind of like a work now, get paid later type of situation. So back to my story, when I told 2 of my top leaders this, and we were looking at over 100,000 volume points on their, one leg when we were looking at the report, and then seeing what was going on that weak side, it was like hugely different. But I did the math just so they would know like what they're missing out on a week in their team cycle bonus. And both of them, their carryover volume was very similar. So for the both of them, they were missing out on close to $900 a week in team cycle bonus. What? Oh my gosh. So that really I give you this example because that was like a huge eye opener to them in how they needed to run their downline a little bit differently. Take a look at what's going on and say, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? And this just stems back to the 3 points I just touched on how we can drive volume within our downline. So it's that plus them continuing to really bring on business builders to their team so that weaker side can just grow, and then they can go tap into that savings account, which will always be there. Except, my last point on this is that they must remain an active coach. So they cannot, nobody can drop below. Sorry, mom life. Nobody can drop that active coach status, else those numbers will flush. And you don't want that to happen. So it's really important to maintain an active coach status. And you can easily do that by just drinking Shakeology every month and earning your 90 personal volume points. I think that's all I have for you on volume today. I need to go be a mom now and get her some water and get this little guy next to me a bottle. But if you have any questions, please feel free. I just spit in your face. Please feel free to reach out and ask me anything that you need about carryover volume in general, how my team generates volume within our downline, anything that you want to know, I'm here for you. Thanks for tuning into this lesson today, and I hope you've been able to take away something that you can go and either teach your team or implement into your own business. Thanks, you guys. Talk to you soon.